Welcome to the Loveability Podcast. My name is Jennifer Styers, and I'm here to talk love, relationships, sex, marriage, and everything in between. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Loveability Show. I'm your host, Jennifer Styers, and I have a very special guest with me today. We had told you guys about bringing on a partner here for me to do the show with. Just, you know what? It gets lonely. Talking about lonely in relationships, it gets lonely doing the podcast by myself. And I know you guys always, try to tune in on Fridays at 3 so we can go live. But since we don't always have audience participation, this also helps me because Christine is single, is recently single. And so she has a perspective that so many of you are going to appreciate. And she's going to bring a lot of the questions and thoughts and ideas and things that baffle you about dating. She's going to bring those things up. And it's one of the reasons that Christine and I, so I'd like you free to meet Christine. Christine and I decided to do this together as we were having such amazing conversations. We literally would say, we should have a camera on us now because this is such an amazing conversation. We thought, okay, this is perfect. She needs to be on the show with me. So she kind of fills in for all of you in the sense that she gets to ask the questions that many of you are thinking, and she will ask them. She's very, very brave. So my new co-host for the Loveability Show, Christine Hamilton. Christine, say hi to everybody.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. This is just so exciting and such a pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Well, Christine is also new to DFW, so the fun thing is we get to also see her reactions to some of the.
And I have a lot of reactions.
You know, to Dallas dating and Dallas in general, and all kind. I've been hearing all kinds of fun things. So we thought about for the first show how cool it would be to just kind of do an overall. So where are we? And you guys, I do this a couple times a year just to kind of bring it back home. The landscape of dating is always changing. It's the one thing I've learned. I've been doing this in relationships for 30 years, but I know that I have got to keep abreast of things because things are constantly moving and shifting in the relationship space, in the dating space. And so here we are starting, forging a new relationship here and with all of you. Well, let's talk about where we are. So the starting point of where Loveability is restarting here, the starting point of where relationships are in general in our society, which is crazy where we are. I want to say it's really crazy because I think Christine's about my age. We're right around the same age. And I feel like, Christine, so many years ago, like when our parents were growing up, relationships were so different. I mean, my mom was a housewife.
Right.
My dad worked. There were traditional roles. It's just, we're not living in the same world. We've got women working, latchkey kids, different women's rights, women's liberation, which
everything is shifting. And so then me, newly single, yes, no, it'll be 5 years in December. Mm-hmm. And however, I was in a relationship, we were together for 30 years. So
yeah,
it's changed. The dating world in general has changed so much. I've changed as a person. And so every day I'm just learning something new about myself, about the process, about how to. And thankfully I have you. Because I'll send a text saying or call her. Now, what do I do with this? Because this is a lot different than it was 30 some years ago.
Yeah, and I think sometimes even I have to tell you guys, and you guys know that I tell you this all the time, I'm even baffled by some of the things you guys tell me. So there are times where you'll tell me this happened, or this woman went after me, or, tried to take my clothes off on the first date. I'm like, what? And of course I've observed some of this. So I throw singles parties and I watch you guys. So I see what happens. Christine, it'll be a adventure for you at our first Loveability.
I was just
party.
about to say I cannot wait for that experience and to, be by your side in that, and just it's so exciting.
Yeah,
really
it's fun. So okay, so let's talk about, first of all, I've got attitude shifts and role changes, which I was just talking about. So in regards to attitude shifts, women have become so hyper independent, and it's messing things up. I don't know how else to say it. It is really, really messing things up. Ladies, I'm an entrepreneur. I am an independent woman, but there is a fine balance when you're seeking a relationship or in a relationship, being a woman and allowing the man to be a man.
Right.
Yeah. So I was just going to tell a quick story.
Go.
And I've told you this story before, but years ago, my husband and I was running my own company, a different company, but I was running my own company. And my husband we were literally, I was trying to sell my house. And so because we were about to get married, my back door had one of those door locks. If you lock it, it locks automatically. Well, the doorknob was loose, and my dad was an architect, so he was always doing building stuff around the house. I knew how to do stuff.
Right.
It wasn't like I was stupid, right? So we had very little time because he had 2 kids. So every time we got time to go out on a real date, I was so excited. So we were going out to movie night, and so I was like, okay, we get to go out tonight. And he stopped and he said, well, Jen, your back door's loose. Your doorknob's loose. Let me tighten it for you before you go so that the realtor doesn't get stuck outside.
Right.
And I said, don't worry about it. Let's just go. Let's go have some fun. I can do that. And literally, it was just that moment. It was that one moment that changes everything. I said, he said, Jen, what can I do for you?
Oh.
He's like, Jen, what can I do for you?
Right.
And I thought, he's right. I've got to step back and let him. Can I do it? Yes. Do I want to do it? No. I'd rather him do it, right? I'd rather him carry the heavy water in, go fix the doorknob, right? I want him to do those things.
Right.
So it's a matter of, can we do it, ladies? Yes, we can do it. Do we want a guy to do it? Yes, but we've got to give them the space to do it and permission.
And they want to do that.
They want to, and they need to.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that so much has changed and it's fantastic. And at the same time, it's super important, at least for me, and everybody's different. I also really love the traditional roles. I mean, so much has shifted and changed, but I really want to hold on to that. I think that's super special. And so, case in point, you and I have learned to do everything on our own.
Yes.
And we've had to, and it's super liberating. And then it's super important to take a step back and be vulnerable.
Allow somebody
be
in.
feminine and let them take on the masculine role.
Yeah, and we're speaking for all you ladies out there. I mean, at the end of the day, we're speaking for all of you ladies, most of you ladies, I should say, because most of you ladies out there that watch the show are working women. You are independent. You know what I'm talking about. That role of, femininity, it still should exist. There still has to be a feminine and masculine for a relationship to work. So I think those changing roles and attitudes about them is important, that we acknowledge that they're there and acknowledge that if we want a relationship in our life, guys, let the woman be a woman, right? Let her take care of you. If she wants to make you dinner, if she wants to spoil you, if she wants to give you a foot rub, if she wants to give you breakfast in bed, if she wants to give you a gift, if she wants to take you out to dinner, allow her to do that. Allow her to do things as a woman, to nurture and take care that comes in so naturally to us as women, right? And ladies, let a guy pay for the meal. You don't have to split the check, which we'll talk about. But I think that is something. Let a guy take you out on a date. Let him lead. Let him pick the restaurant.
Right.
You know, right? Let him order you dinner. This is amazing. But I'm going to back up a little bit. When a guy knows what you want to eat, when you tell him I'm going to have this, let him order it for you. If he wants to order it for you, if he knows what you're having, let him order it for you.
Right.
And in Texas, you'll see, as you start going on more dates, as you have seen, a lot of men stand up, which we love. Acknowledge that. When a man has manners and does something nice, appreciate it, you know? A man opens the door for you, say thank you.
Well, and by the way, if that isn't a standout trait to you, you are so incredibly fortunate, because let me just say from experience, that doesn't exist so much everywhere in the United States. It's incredibly, it exists a lot of places. Please don't misunderstand that. But chivalry is not dead, and chivalry is alive and well in Texas.
Right.
Based on what I've experienced, and it's so fun and it's super exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's so nice and refreshing when you're sitting at a table and you get up for something and a guy gets up to stay. I mean, God, we love that, guys. We
really
love
do.
that.
Really do.
Okay. So then, the whole idea of, our phones, right? Which I'm looking at right now because my notes are on it. But the phones, we become so addicted to our phones and technology. That is something that's really gotten in the way then and now. Then it was, they made a phone call to ask you out, right? They made a phone call to set up a second date. There was more conversation. Do you remember the days? Do you remember back in the days, a guy calling you to have a 2-hour conversation at night?
And it was so fun.
I know. We miss that. We do. I mean, we don't want it every night.
No.
What?
See, now I want to segue, and I know we're not quite there yet, but that is just such a confusing aspect of getting back into the dating world, right? It's so different than it used to be. Communication is different. And I'm a say what I mean what I say type of person, and yet I'm a little intimidated. I'm not sure if that's what I'm supposed to do as a, dating woman, and, who should initiate contact and all of it. It's so confusing. Really is.
Yeah, and I will speak for all these women out there. They are confused as well.
That's actually reassuring, right?
Yeah, they are. And you know what, ladies? I will say, allow a man to reach out. If he doesn't reach out, if he doesn't communicate, that's a problem. That's where you see right off the bat that could be a problem. Now, I'm also a firm believer in you have to train. You have to train a new person, and I say that lovingly because everybody's different. Everybody's got 50 years of different experiences, right? And you have to train them in in a positive way as to what you like after you've gone out with them a few times. So don't dump them because they didn't text you for 3 days. That's the other thing too. How people text. Some people are great texters. Some people are over texters, and right.
Well, and haven't you heard the adage, if it's longer than a thumb, it's not a text. Pick up the phone and have a conversation.
I have not heard that.
Yes. That's actually from a therapist, so hopefully you know what she's talking about. But really, text generally should be basic information exchange. Because they say it gets lost in interpretation.
This is exactly why I want to have this conversation. Okay. Because I disagree with that.
Okay.
And the reason, no, I do. It's great though, but I think it really depends on the person, because if I don't have time, if I have 3 minutes between a phone call and I can shoot a voice to text, which we're lucky if somebody can actually read.
Well, that's different though. A voice text is different because then you hear the inflection.
Oh no, not I'm just talking to the voice to text.
Got it, yeah.
So it's a text. Yeah, and how you'll know it's a voice to text from me is that you can't read it because all the words are misspelled and it's in Southern slang. You have to decipher what it says.
Right.
But if I have 3 minutes, I can't pick up the phone. I don't want to pick up the phone, and so I want people to text me because it's easier for me to respond in the time that I need to respond. I think of Jason back there, our producer. I'm so excited to have back Jason. But Jason too. Jason's behind a camera. He can't take a phone call, but he could text as he's working. So there's a lot of people with jobs, lawyers, doctors, they're in surgery, they can text, they can't talk, So it's like we need to have that conversation about what that looks like, right?
Right.
So
and I agree. And that, in certain circumstances, 100%. You and I send each other very lengthy texts.
Yes, we
have to. We have a million things going. But when you're involved romantically with a person, I feel like information exchange via text is great. Once you start discussing emotion and a little deeper topic, so much is left to interpretation.
Oh my gosh, so much.
Yes. That's really where I was headed with that. And, perhaps I didn't articulate it properly. So,
yeah, I agree with you.
Right.
I agree with her wholeheartedly on that. If you have anything to say, especially if it's something important, guys, like canceling a date or rescheduling or changing a restaurant or anything that you need to communicate with, if you don't have time for a phone call, do one of those voice things, so little voice recorders,
right?
So they can hear your voice.
Right.
Because I do that sometimes so that people, if I need to communicate something firmly, but I don't want them to think I'm mad at them or something, I will do that. So I make sure that the message is received in the loving manner in which I meant to communicate it,
Absolutely.
But that's such a big thing is nobody is, guys, if you're going to ask a girl on a date, don't text her. Don't text her and ask her out. It's okay to text her and say, listen, I'd love to take you out Saturday night. Are you free? She says, yes. Great. I'll call you tonight and let's talk about where you want to go. Guys, pick up the damn phone. I'm going to say it now. Pick up the phone.
And by the way, is that going to stick? Is that going to really land? Because I've been out a little bit, not a lot.
Right.
I can count on one hand the number of live phone calls I've taken. So I'm wondering, is that really going to stick? I don't know. We'll see.
And she makes such a great point, and I feel like this is a great opportunity for us to talk about what to do here. Ladies, it is your job to train a man, and I say this lovingly, guys, because guys want to make us happy. They really, really do. They just want to make us happy. And if we could learn to train them, tell a man what you want.
Right.
Don't hint. Don't expect him to know by what you said. Don't expect him to remember that you're a vegetarian or that you don't like fish, or whatever, it may be. You have to tell a man exactly what you want. So if you like a guy to text you, if you like to communicate on a regular basis, you should tell him when you're sitting in front of him, and he didn't do anything wrong. It's
right.
Not in a reprimand situation, like he didn't do something. But when you're sitting at dinner, you know what I love? I love when you text me during the middle of the day. I love getting messages from you. I love seeing your name pop up on my phone. It makes my day. Something along those lines where you train them, say, and I love
positive reinforcement.
Yes, positive reinforcement. Guys don't like that negativity. As a matter of fact, years ago, it was just a couple years ago, they'd done all these Dating America, Singles in America surveys with Match. Mm-hmm. Positivity was one of the highest things on a man's list. And Jason, our producers are very nodding. He said, yes,
yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I can't see that.
It's on one of the highest things on a man's list. They want positivity. So important that you stay positive, ladies.
Before we switch topics, that brought up a thought for me. How do you feel should a woman lead by example with that?
No.
Okay. See?
No. If you want a guy to text you more, doesn't mean text him more. Ladies, really, 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 the best way to do this, if a guy's not doing what you want him to do, subtly tell him what you want him to do in a loving way. Don't do it. Don't do it, because you may say, listen, I love when you text me. I love to hear from you throughout the day. He may say, you know what? I barely ever even have my phone, or our company has put our phone at the front. We're not allowed to touch it, during the day. Or I don't look at my phone. I'm not a big texter, but you know what? I can always make the time to call you on my way home.
You just get how special you are to them.
Yeah. Yes.
And by the way, all men and all women want to feel special.
Yeah,
right? This is not gender specific at all. We all want to feel that.
Such a great point.
Thank you.
No, that is a great point. I think I sometimes miss that because that's what it's about. It is about, I want to feel special. I want to know you're thinking about me, right? And like Christine just said, it's also guys. Guys want to know too. So once you are dating, once you have a relationship established or some type of communication established, ladies, don't hesitate to send a text to a guy, right? You haven't heard from him. You usually hear from him by lunchtime. You haven't heard from him. It's okay to reach out and go, hey, I was just thinking about you. I haven't heard from you. I wanted to let you know, you're on my mind. Something nice so that they know, because they don't want to be the initiators all the time. Which, you know what? It really brings me to a big point.
Okay.
Guys, you've gotten way too comfortable with women being assertive. So I hear this from guys so much, even though it's out of our comfort zone a little bit to have to do that. We shouldn't have to. But guys are sitting back. This is one of the differences today. Guys are sitting back expecting that a woman is going to take the initiative sometimes.
Well, sometimes is one thing, and it's not even a matter of how often. It's how aggressive are these women, right? That's not I wouldn't imagine, be appealing to very many men out there either. So
men actually like it, and they've gotten really used to it because now they don't have to ask a woman out, because if a woman likes him, she'll show him that she likes him. If he's interested in having sex, she'll let him know that she's interested in having sex. You ladies are way too assertive. By the way, I'll say it because it's in here too. Since we're here, I'll jump to sex. Ladies, guys will have sex with you on a first date, always, or a second date, always. Typically always. I won't say always. Some guys actually will walk out, be offended, and never see you again. Those are guys with really high standards. But the average guy that has his hormones pumping is going to have sex with you, but he doesn't want a second date or a third date after that. Guys think to themselves, if she's this loose with me, she's this loose with other guys.
Well, certainly. Whenever I speak with a new man, you have to make the assumption that you're not the only person in their lives, right? And so the way they treat you, you have to assume that's going to be with somebody else. So does that mean getting in bed with them the first night? And definitely not for me. And guess what? If they have the opportunity and the inclination, they might be doing that. That just doesn't work for me.
Right. Yeah, you had said something. I always listen, so I forget. Your point was just, what did you just say at first? You said,
I don't know.
Damn it.
I don't know.
Okay, yeah. I always hear something. I'm like, I want to respond to that. Then I listen to the rest, and I forget.
Just interrupt me.
But yeah, we're talking about sex. So sex on the first date and a man's inclination. Darn it. Well, ladies, here's the point. A man will do it. Should you do it? Should you be that aggressive? If you're looking for a long-term relationship, the answer is no. Hold out until the intimacy is there. Intimacy doesn't mean sex. Intimacy means an emotional connection between the two of you. It'll be a lot more meaningful at that point. If you have to reel a man in or get a man by sex, by your sexuality, it's number one, you need to probably seek out some therapy and help so that you can stop using your body and your sexuality to try to win over a man, because that's not what it's about. And there needs to be a shift there for you, ladies. But a man doesn't want that. A man really doesn't want that.
Okay, and so then we have to go to, because you're talking about how long and all those things, sex without monogamy, sex without it.
Oh, okay, wait. That's what you were saying. You were talking about,
okay.
You expect that if you're dating somebody new that they're dating other people. That was what you said at first that I wanted to address. Not the case.
Okay, good.
So this is very interesting. I think this is where I think a lot of women and men go wrong, is that I think that women expect that a man doesn't date anybody else. If you've gone out on one date, then, and you know what? I wholeheartedly believe if you've gone out with a woman and you like her, stop dating other people.
Right?
Stop it.
Yes.
Yeah. But some men don't. And guys, that's where you ruin it with a really good woman. But women, you also can't assume that a guy's going to stop dating everyone else. So I think there needs to be a loose expectation around that, in the sense that if you have an expectation, ladies, and then all of a sudden you find out, or you heard that the guy was out with somebody else after he'd gone out on one date with you, you've been on one date with him.
Right.
You've been on one date. And if he didn't feel a connection on the first date, really a crazy connection, and he's not, bought in yet, give it a little bit of time. If he asked you out again, he didn't have to marry you after one date.
Right.
So I feel like that is just one of those things where if there is an amazing connection, ladies, gentlemen, stop dating. Stop dating other people.
Just
Don't
give it a
focus.
chance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But also at the same note, don't hold that expectation there.
Well, you know what they say about assumptions, or assume. We know what that stands for, right?
Why don't you tell us, since some of us...
It makes an ass out of you and
Me.
me. So let's not make assumptions or assume.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Just have clear communication. Not on the first date are you seeing anybody else, and don't, please don't. You can't draw lines right out of the bat. But,
Right.
As it progresses, then it's important to have those types of conversations in a non-threatening manner.
Right.
Right? And I think you can address those things
Right.
way.
Which allows me to pivot now.
Okay.
Allows me to pivot to the point of what used to be was dating to marry, and
Right.
now it's online dating. So it's dating to date.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God. Oh, no.
So here we have another quandary, right?
Yeah.
Because there are people that are relationship focused that really want to date to ultimately have a what's the word I'm looking for? Good Lord. A serious relationship, a committed relationship, a monogamous relationship. I mean, as a matter of fact, I couldn't even remember the word monogamous, scares me. But anyway,
That is
that is scary. But monogamy. So monogamy is one of those lost. It's one of these lost things, guys. It's not that people don't want it. It's that people don't really remember how to get there today. And I say that with as much love as possible, but people are addicted to dating. Online dating has killed us because it's option after option after option after option. That's what it's become. And it's like, oh, Christine, it was great going out with you. You're amazing. You're beautiful. I had so much fun.
And check out how much hotter this next girl
And
is.
guess what? When I got home, I have 10 other great women in my inbox, and let me go see what I'm going to do.
Well, and by the way, I don't know how you keep up with the conversations. I mean, I've had a few different men that I was talking to at the same time, and it was so much stress and pressure. I can't do it.
Yeah.
So guess what? If you're that good at juggling, congratulations.
Yeah, go juggle.
I can't do it.
Yeah, but I do. So trending though. So this is a cool statistic. We're actually the Gen millennials and Gen X are all moving away from dating apps. So I think we're finally getting sick of the swipe, which is amazing, guys. This is a good thing. People are sick of dating to date. They want to date with a purpose. And so, the swipe apps, what are you doing? You're swiping on a face. What is that? And then you get upset with the face doesn't look like the face.
Right.
And the picture.
Filters,
Where do you get
all
there?
the rest.
And then the other thing is if they're not who you wanted them to be, but what are you expecting?
Not who they said that they were.
But they're not reading who they are because all they're looking at is a face.
Well, listen, I did a 24-hour experiment with Bumble, and it ended so early. I told my son, who is going to be 26, that I was going on a date that was with some guy I'd met on Bumble, and he said, "You are not doing that. Only losers go on Bumble." He literally date shamed me, and I said, "No, I'm doing this." Well, this gentleman said he was the CEO of tech or something like that. It was a complete misrepresentation, and there's no judgment in terms of what his profession is. However, it's nowhere near what he actually does. And I just thought, why wouldn't you be honest about who you are, or not filter your pictures so people know what you look like? Because otherwise you're just wasting everyone's time, and we're all too busy for that. That's just...
Because he can. I mean, that's the thing about...
And it goes nowhere. I literally said to him in the middle of the date, I said, you know what? I'm just going to say thank you for your time. Thank you for the cocktail. This is going nowhere, and I would encourage you to be honest and upfront with people next time. And I got up and left.
And I wish that everybody would do what Christine does. I wish everybody would do that. If somebody doesn't look like their picture, if they're not who they say they were, if they misrepresent themselves, leave.
Yep.
Just politely, lovingly leave. It will teach them to do something different. That's all.
Well, and by the way, that helps all of us. That
Yeah.
benefits everyone. We're all in this together, right? Hopefully.
And if you're looking for something long term, somebody's going to figure out who you are. So don't lie. They'll figure out who you are. So be as honest as you can when you're getting out there.
Right.
So I want to talk about something right now that is like a hot topic as we get into elections.
Okay.
And that's politics. So that is the hottest topic right now. The research on politics has been incredible because we are more divided than we've ever been. And every election season, statistically, we're getting further and further apart. I think it's like 83% of Democratic women will not even consider dating a Republican guy. Now, for guys, it's different. If a guy is a Republican, like I think it's like 40% of them will consider dating a Democrat woman. But a guy yesterday, I did an interview yesterday, and he said, well, if she's hot, then you overlook that. At least for a time being. I think he used Scarlett Johansson as an example. And I said, but you can only overlook that, for a short period of time. He said, no, forever if it's her.
Okay.
But having said that, we are looking at very polarized.
More than ever before.
But Christine,
obviously.
you've told me you won't date outside of your politics.
I won't. You know what? And maybe it's just because right now I'm so incredibly passionate about it, but I want to find commonality, things that we can connect on, and I can't connect with that right now.
Yeah.
I just can't. And
But people can. I think
other people can, and good for them. I can't.
I think that's one thing that I would always talk about. The reasons that politics don't mix typically is because of values. They're correlated to our values.
Exactly.
But now they're not.
So now, sometimes they are.
But no, I'm not saying that they're. Thank you for correcting me. It's not that they're not. It's that they are, and that there's other reasons that also. So it is also that. Your party's representative is this, and this. And if you like them, I don't like you. And that goes for both. It goes for both parties. So it's instead of it just being personal about me and I don't go for this and this is not something I believe in, and whether, whatever that would be. And statistically, I can tell you what the points are, but I won't. But there are points that women tend to be more Democrat, by the way. Statistically, and men more Republican. But this is where we're drawing a very fine line, folks. So I would say, it's really important if it's important to you.
Right.
Right?
And be clear about that.
Right.
And be clear with yourself first and foremost. You have to be emotional.
If you believe in it and you're passionate about it.
Just know, and it goes back to what I said about the Bumble. Just be authentically represent yourself.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just a waste of time and emotion.
Right. I mean, house divided. I think years ago, we used to be able to live together. It's just not possible now. I just don't believe it's possible anymore. And I'm basing that on statistics. So interesting as we go into this election season. Everybody seems to think it's going to simmer down after somebody's elected. I don't think so. So we shall see.
You shall see.
One of the other big things that we can't ignore is this inability to deal with conflict. So many years ago, and Christine, I'm sure you can remember this. Your kids have a cell phone. They text you from upstairs in the house. You say, hey, kids, dinner. You text them. They text you back or whatever. So there's this communication in the separation of the communication, right? And I think the thing that we're losing in this generation is it's so easy to pick up our phones now or to ghost somebody it's so easy to pick up our phone and say something that we shouldn't say, or do something, like break a date or break up with somebody, which we shouldn't do over a text. But it's so much easier for people to do that because they don't have to face conflict.
Hide behind their phones.
They do.
All the
They
time.
do. But years ago, we had to deal with it face to face.
There were no options.
No options.
And that's so wouldn't that be refreshing? I mean, we all love technology. I love the convenience of my cell phone.
Right.
And so would never want to go back to that. But just bringing it back to the authentic face-to-face,
right?
Voice-to-voice conversations. Just, I miss that.
Right.
I really do.
Well, I think, we have to be better at conflict because every single relationship is going to have conflict. You don't like that they do this. You'd rather them do this. You want to compromise here.
Right.
These are conversations we have to have with them. And would be another point that I dive into is perfectionism. So it kind of goes into the same thing. Expecting somebody to do and be who we are, right? I like to be in by 10 o'clock. I don't like to drink alcohol. I don't curse. I like to communicate with somebody on a regular basis, once or twice a day, be on the phone with them. If somebody's not you, all of a sudden it's like, oh, they didn't do this right or this right. And you know what? I say this as a matchmaker. I see this and I deal with this because I'll hear people come back from a date and they'll go, you know what? We had a really good time, but he didn't really ask a lot of questions about me. So I don't think he was interested. Let's just move along. And then I talked to him and he's like, oh my God, we had such an amazing time. I think she's incredible. We had such a good, conversation. I'd love to see her again. And then I go back to her and she's like, oh, I'd love to see him again. I just didn't think he was interested. We got to stop this whole thing of all these expectations and this perfectionism around dating because it builds walls between us. We can't anticipate what somebody's thinking.
Well, and we're all imperfect, so how can you possibly go into a situation looking for perfection in someone else? It's just...
But we do.
Well, I get that, and when you shift your thinking into, okay, great, so this is different than I am, and what can I learn from this, and how am I going to grow and expand, then it can be super exciting. There are some, situations that you're probably not going to budge on, but generally speaking, I think I told you this. So I had a very specific list of he has to do this, 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 and this. And there weren't that many.
Right.
But one was a specific hobby. And I, had a term that went along with this. And then recently I went out with a gentleman that she set me up with, and he did not fit one of those characteristics that I thought was the top of my list. And I'm so grateful that I went in and gave it a moment, gave it an opportunity, and got to know him, because I walked away saying, yeah, that list is out the door.
I love that. I love that.
It no longer applies because there are so many other great things that I hadn't even thought of. And, so circling all the way back, originally I would have said, he isn't perfect because of this. And I know he thought I wasn't perfect because he has certain hobbies. And I said, yeah, that's just not going to work. So
it's not for me. It's not for me. It's not going to work.
Not going to work for me. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So when we start to shift our thinking and, just really embrace and enjoy the process of getting to know somebody for who they are, we can learn so much about ourselves, about others, that we didn't even think that we got.
Right.
And it's so much fun.
And, which brings me to, there's still so many things we can talk about, but I want to talk about what you just said, though, because I think the one thing that has changed, and maybe it's also because of where we are in life, Christine, because here we are in this place. We're not 20 years old anymore. We're not like looking for the hottest guy or the good time, the best time,
Well, I still want to have a really good time.
I know, but it's about long-term compatibility. And I think open-mindedness, everyone, please keep an open mind. If you're over the age of 32 and you're looking for love, you have got to have an open mind, because nobody's going to be you. So don't expect to find you in a man's body or a woman's body. Nobody's going to be you. And Second
Which
of
is a
all,
good thing.
it's a
I
good
don't
thing.
always
I know.
like me. That's kind of a good thing.
Exactly. Good point. But second of all, it's like you're good. You're the things that you have 30 years, 40 years, 50 years of different experiences. What a shame if you miss out on learning something new or trying something new because you had a closed mind. I don't do that. I don't ride motorcycles. I don't skydive. I don't jump out of a plane, jump out of planes. Oh my God, I've had people say, they want to sky. You have a great time skydiving. You will, unless you want my dead body on the ground. I am not jumping out of the plane.
Non-negotiable. Yeah.
But be open to everything except skydiving. I'm saying.
Oh, I get it. So it's one of your non-negotiables. Yeah. That's fine. If it's somebody else's, then we'll talk about it.
So I'm not gonna if it's life threatening. I mean, because really, come on. But having said that, I think that it is just so important that we keep an open mind to to things, because people bring experience that we may love, that we may embrace, that we may fall in love with, because that we never tried it before because we didn't know them and meet them. And that also means tapering your expectations on dates. Don't just sit back and enjoy. The best thing I've ever taught my clients to do that is a game changer in regards to finding love. Sit back and enjoy and don't judge.
Right.
Don't judge.
Right.
Don't have an expectation. Have standards for
no expectation is so
huge.
Important.
So huge.
Yeah, it is.
And not judging, because I think that's another thing too, is we can walk in, we can look at what somebody's wearing, or we can look at somebody's hair, or, I've heard all kinds of things. But who are they? Because at the end of the day, you're in a relationship with who they are and their spirit and their soul and what they stand for and their values and their lifestyle. It's not their clothes or the shirt they chose to wear, or that there was a wrinkle in their shirt, or that they wore the wrong shoes, or that they don't dress the way that we like them to dress. They don't like their style. I believe it or not, I hear that more from men than women on style.
Men don't like women's style?
Yes.
Well, they don't like my poofy hair either. So.
Well, you're in Texas. Don't love your poofy hair. Hopefully we won't have her blonde poofy hair.
Oh, no. I'm never. It's just so not.
So anyway, well, you know what, guys? I want to try and keep our we're going to go probably to 30-minute segments as we move forward here. I knew this was going to be a little longer just because we had so much content. We didn't even get to half of it. But the point is, so many things have changed. That's what we're going to dive into and have these conversations about, is diving into the little things and having conversations about each one of them. So we have really big, broad, conversation today. We're really going to get into the details of some of these things and have some really important conversations with you about relationships, about what you're looking for. Again, fly on the wall.
Well, totally. I kind of wanted to interject when you were saying that, just to be very clear. I am so not an expert in any of this. I have a big mouth. I love to talk, and we have great conversation, and that is simply what I bring to the table.
Yeah.
A lot to say.
It's great.
So I'm so lucky I get to sit next to you and learn all this and be your little sponge.
Well,
so thank you.
And you speak for so many people and think like so many people do out there. And like I said, I think that is the theme of all of where we're going to go moving forward, is you all being a fly on the wall for these conversations that we're having. And I want you guys to send us any topics you want to talk about, anything that's on your mind, because we'll be that voice for you in the single world. So I promise you, as we move forward, things are going to probably get a little deeper and a little spicier. So high level, wanted you to meet Christine, keep it clean, but we are going to dive in and keep it clean.
I will not
today.
be keeping it clean.
Today.
Yes, today only.
But yeah, she will say what's on her mind.
Yeah.
But send in us, and send into us any topics that you may have, or things you want us to talk about, or any questions you may have moving forward. Yay! Now you see why we're together.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, you guys. Thank you for joining us on Loveability. And remember, you can find us on any of the podcast stations: SiriusXM, Amazon, Google, Spotify, Apple. We're on all of the stations. You don't have to watch us if you don't want to. You can just listen. You can be on the treadmill working out and just listen to the fun conversations we're going to have. And of course, share the podcast with your friends, because we are ready to grow. And we're ready to grow. We're in growth mode. There we are. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Christine, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
I love you too.
We're gonna have fun.
Bye, everybody. Bye. This is Jennifer. Thanks for listening today, and please subscribe to the podcast. Each show, we're going to have new topics and information. If you'd like to find out more about coaching or matchmaking, please go to my website at lovejen.com, or you can find me on my Facebook page, my personal page at Jennifer Styers.